hour is upon us. If I could go ahead and call our meeting to order, please. If I could ask everyone to please stand for a moment of silence. Then we'll ask Miss Tanny Busby Mitchell to lead us in the place of the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tammy. Shall we call the roll, please?
Mrs. Hambrick? Present. Mr. Hampton?
Here.
Mr. Lesby?
Here.
Mrs. Lesby Mitchell?
Here.
Mrs. Tinglestein? Here. Mr. Showalter? Here. Mr. Stone?
Here.
Mrs. Tack?
Here.
Thank you. We have a full house this evening. Each council member should have received a copy of the minutes of our last regularly scheduled meeting. If you'd like to look those over for any possible corrections or additions.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. If there are no changes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you. The minutes are approved. Each council member should have also received a copy of our latest check register. If you could indicate if you received that register. Thank you. And with your all's permission, I'd like to slightly alter the order of our agenda tonight because we've got some real special guests with us tonight and an opportunity to recognize some very important promotions within our fire department. It's always fun to be able to do this, and our timing is perfect. Welcome, Cal. Yes, sir. If I could call on Chief Tim Thompson to please come forward and tell us about the promotions tonight and the pinning that we'll see.
Yes, sir. Well, again, thank you all for having us here, and thank you for this occasion. It's exciting. We've had a lot going on over the last year, and we're trying to catch up just on some promotional pinnings and just to let you guys put some faces to the names that we have and see what you guys have done with us. So at this time, I'd like for our guys to come forward. We start off with Chief Gifford. You want to come forward? Sure. Start off with Battalion Chief Kevin Conley. Come up here real quick. Battalion Chief Conley has been with the Georgetown Fire Department since 2000. He was our most recently appointed battalion chief. The knowledge that this gentleman has in the fire service is tremendous. He's had a lot outside of the fire or Georgetown as well with Dry Ridge, so very excited for him to be able to mentor a lot of the young guys that we have. Very honored to have him, and he's actually been a mentor to me as well. So at this time, his wife Jennifer will come up and pin. Yes, ma'am. Do the photo op.
I've been waiting on that. I've been waiting 8 years for that to happen.
Kevin's wife Jennifer works with EMS as well, so they're a first responder family.
Oh, that's awesome.
Next, we're going to do Battalion Chief of Training Cam Johnson. Chief Johnson is in the position that you guys actually created for us last year. This position has been tremendous for us. It's allowed us to be able to teach and train our new folks, plus obviously just everybody there. So he's in charge of the recruit class going on right now, making sure that all the men and women in our department get the proper training they need. It's been a very beneficial position. His demeanor and the way that he's able to conduct himself and his professionalism goes a long way. So again, thank you all for creating this position, and let Martha come up here to do the counting. Last but not least, we have Assistant Chief of Prevention, Seth Johnson. Seth has been with the department since 2006, and this is a gentleman that took the position that I was in, and he is doing a tremendous job right now. If you see all the social media posts and everything that's going on with fire prevention and all that stuff, he has taken that and just done an amazing job with that. Did the fire prevention parade. He's involved, he oversees the fire marshal's office, code enforcement. Again, his demeanor, his personality is a great fit for that office. So again, just we'll put the face to the name. I'm sure a lot of y'all may know him, but again, doing an amazing job. Jessica, would you like to come up? Yeah. Again, thank you for this opportunity. It's you know, these men have worked really hard to get to where they are, and it's symbolic having their wives do it because they're as big a part of our department as the guys are. So thank you all again.
And Chief, let me say that as I approach the end of this term, I could not be more proud of the leadership of the fire department that I'll pass on to the next administration. You're welcome. Let's see, going back to the regular order of our agenda, and thank you for your patience with allowing us to do that special event first. It's time for public comments, and Andrew, do you have that sheet? Thank you. Well, our very own Laurie Saunders, I think, wanting to talk about the Christmas parade.
You got it.
Hi, Laurie.
Hey.
Look like y'all had a pretty good time at your conference.
Yes, we did. We had a very, very good time. I even made it to do my insurance on Thursday morning with Andrew, yeah.
Good.
But we did have fun. It was nice. It was a nice conference. All about the good stuff with tourism, of course. So really celebrating that $75 million win that we got legislatively this year. So it was great. Thank you. Well, I have to say I'm a little bit tardy. I had thought for sure that I had sent the Home for the Holidays Parade application in along with my Festival of the Horse. And when Todd called and told me he had the tractors round up and coming, I was even more certain I'd done it. Until I started looking for my paperwork. So I called Tracy this morning, said, is it too late to get in there? And she, of course, said, no, you all make time for me. So thank you very much for doing that. The Christmas parade is scheduled for December the 3rd. It is going to be called Christmas on the Farm this year. We will close down streets starting at Military sometime between 5 and probably 5:45 p.m. And we expect the streets to open back up and the roads to open back up at 8:30, no later than then. After the parade, we will have our tree lighting with Santa and Chief. Look at him. He already knows. He's got Santa ready for me to come down on the fire truck. So we're excited about that. I can, if this is a bad time, I can change it. I can move the date if I need to. Like I said, I am so sorry about not getting this here a whole lot sooner. But if I need to move the date, I will happily do so.
I think we
What
can.
time was it? I'm sorry.
6 p.m., December the 3rd. And I have applications just in case anybody wants to join the parade.
Laurie, you and the Christmas parade are a pretty proven commodity. I think we're pretty comfortable with the fact that it'll be done beautifully, and it's probably already been anticipated in our schedule, would be my estimation.
You need a motion for that, Mayor?
I do.
There you go.
Thank you. Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded. Thank you, Karen. Any questions for Laurie? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you, ma'am. What
Thank
else?
you. I will see you all at the Christmas parade. I did notice on the agenda that you had a proclamations for Small Business Saturday.
Yes.
So, just very, very quickly, I was writing some notes. I wanted you to know that we do have our commercials that are going to be starting to roll out here very, very soon. So you'll be seeing them on the airways on 18, 27, and 36. We also have some advertising and marketing going on in surrounding counties and states too. We have a huge number of Cincinnatians who always like to come down and shop with us sometime during the holidays. So we've done some advertising that away too. And of course, with our local paper, we have an advertising campaign going on there. But the most exciting part is that we have scheduled some interviews on some of the TV stations, and we are going to be using our local merchants to go on TV and talk about Small Business Saturday and why it's so important to support your small businesses, and hopefully convince some people to get on down to Georgetown for all their Christmas shopping needs. So that's all I wanted to say.
Good stuff, Laurie. Thank you very much. Any questions for Laurie?
Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie Mifflin.
Mayor Prather, council members, my name is Charlie Mifflin. I'm one of your planning and zoning commissioners. I'm here this evening to make you aware of some of the planning commissioners' responsibilities and how they are affected by matters outside of our jurisdiction and responsibility, but lie in your responsibilities. When a developer comes to us with a plan, it's our responsibility to determine if they meet the criteria for the number of units compared to the total acreage, proper distances between houses, green space, sidewalks, curbs and gutters, and the acceptable width of streets. We are, however, not responsible for the roads and streets that development must access. That's why I'm here tonight. Old Oxford Road is no longer a meandering country lane which many of us knew growing up. It is now a major residential thoroughfare. This is what these things have, what has been brought before planning and zoning the last several months. The Abbey at Old Oxford is planning 116 new townhouses. Lanes Run development is broken down into multiple phases and sections, but they will end up with 287 units. The Finley property is planning on 142 houses. And a new exit out of Cherry Blossom is about to open up. all of these empty out into Old Oxford. Major residential through streets in Georgetown proper, such as Clayton Avenue, North and South Hamilton, and Seminole Trail, would never be allowed to deteriorate into the condition that we have on Old Oxford, which is a city street. Not only is it unsafe, it does not meet the city's minimum standards. The developers are required to install turn lanes into their development, but all that does is widen the road for a few hundred feet, often leaving the road rough and uneven. The streets in those subdivisions are wider and in better shape than the road leading into them. I'm asking you to drive the length of Old Oxford Road. Take a look for yourself. On top of that, there have been 117 RV spaces approved for Bluegrass RV Campground that will exit less than 200 yards from the Old Oxford and Connector Road intersection, compounding the traffic congestion in that area. In a similar situation that will be occurring on US 25 between Cardome and the Colony. Now, I know that's not a city street. I'm very much aware of that, but a mixed-use development of 580 apartments, senior family housing, and townhouses are planned for that area. As of now, the only entrance and exit will be on US 25. But there is a stub at the end of Colony Boulevard towards the bypass. I'm asking you to think about that. That's all I have to say. I just want to make you aware of some of the things planning and zoning is faced with, and some of the things that we have no control over. Thank you for your time.
Charlie, it's very, when I learned that you were going to be here for public comments and this was the topic, I was actually pleased for the reminder to the council. And if you would please take back some of this history to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The council is acutely aware of how bad that situation is.
Yeah.
We have known since I came in office 8 years ago that it was acutely a problem. What used to be, as you said, a county road, it was a substandard county road, is now a substandard city street. And with my total that I've been telling the council for years is there's an additional 15 to 1,600 homes platted for Old Oxford Road. It is substandard today. We have applied for federal build grants 6 consecutive years as our major transportation priority. We've talked with the council about there are only a certain number of years we can unsuccessfully seek a grant when we have to look at other ways to fund it. In prior consideration of prior budgets and possible fee increases, we even talked about bonding several projects and thought that Old Oxford Road and its corollary, that's the extension of Lexus Way.
Right.
If you improve Old Oxford Road and extend Lexus Way for 0.8 of a mile, improve Old Oxford for the full 4.1 of a mile, part of which is in the city, the very tail end of which is in the county. They're essential. We've struggled to do that. Yes, and we will continue to seek grants until we're able to put it into a budget. It is an absolute known, Charlie, and we did get a grant this year at the end of the budgetary process from Senator Damon Thayer. And it is not enough to rebuild the road, but it is enough to repave the length of Old Oxford Road. We talked about it today in a staff meeting. If the blacktop plants can get 5 days at plus 40 degrees before they shut down, they'll get it done this year. If they don't, they'll have it paved in the spring. It needs more. That's all I've got to offer today.
Gotcha.
Mayor, what about the cost? I mean, that's a relevant item. Roughly $6 million or something.
Roughly $6 million to rebuild Oxford Road, Charlie, in a 2-lane configuration, but with appropriate shoulders and appropriate drainage. About $6 million for Old Oxford improvements and another $6 million to build the 0.8 of a mile extension to Lexus Way. We, this council, working through the Planning and Zoning Commission, have preserved the corridor of Old Oxford Way. We have not let people build in it. Somebody's going to, because we've taken so long. And then when we go to acquire it, it's going to be that much more expensive. But we're working as hard as we can toward those really, really key needs.
Understand, and we are aware of that, but I just needed to bring it to everybody's attention.
We need to hear it again.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, it might be worth noting as well that Connector Road is going to get improved in 2024, I believe, by the state, about a $12 million project. So I know that, that's kind of at the beginning of Old Oxford, but
Right.
that's a critical improvement as well. And then we have obtained some easements for Lexus Way, not in its entirety, but partially anyway. And that's something that needs to probably continue.
Thank you, Charlie. Those were the only folks who had signed up for public comment. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Okay, good. I do have some mayor's comments. Y'all be disappointed, I know, if I did. Let's see. Let me first say that our elections are complete, and I'd like to offer my congratulations to all, everyone who won their campaign and everyone who had the courage to attempt their campaign. So my congratulations to all. It's a really important time, I think, in our city government and in the way our democracy should work. This should be and will be a really important time of transition. And I want you all to know that Mr. Mayor-elect Jenkins and I had an opportunity to speak today. I have pledged to the mayor-elect that this will be as helpful and as seamless a transition as we can possibly make it. That the campaign is over, and that I needed him to be successful, and Georgetown needs him to be successful. And if we can assist that through a very positive transition, then that's what we want to do. So he and I will begin that process on Thursday, and some of our staff may already have appointments. That's been encouraged, and the transition shall begin. And again, my pledge is that we do this transition in as helpful a possible way as we can. Let's see. Very pleased that the Parks and Recreation staff have appeared before the Land and Water Conservation Trust Board. Those are the folks that are responsible for the land and water conservation grants that we apply for. So our application has been made for the improvements that we've been working on for the playground at Ed Davis Park. In fact, we've talked about that project. We budgeted for our half of what that matching contribution will be. If successful, that will bring a $250,000 renovation to the playground equipment at Davis Park. So that is well underway, and hopefully that's something that can be celebrated in the future. Some good news. I came into office with the terrible news that Lemons Mill Bridge had been re-rated, if you all will recall. The little bitty short stubby Lemons Mill Bridge got re-rated from 8 tons to 4 tons, and it rocked our world. It meant that fire trucks couldn't go over it anymore. It meant the garbage trucks couldn't go over it anymore. School buses had to worry. So from an operational point of view, it's been a real hassle. State has finally, after 8 years, announced that they are putting that project out for bid. So I'm optimistic that in the not distant future, you'll have that bridge rebuilt and be able to operate, open it up for use again. Wanted you to know that we got an email notice from Columbia Gas, both the council and the fiscal court got a notice that they're going to be working on line inspection over the next couple of months, and a very lengthy project that will include Georgetown. They use pigs that go through the lines to do this. We'll probably never know about the project unless a pig gets stuck, and then we will know about it. So I just thought I'd give you a heads up ahead of time that Columbia Gas does not expect a problem, but should they get a pig stuck, we'll probably hear about that. Also, let's see, you should have received an email inviting you to attend a meeting on November the 29th. That is Parks and Recreation's presentation of their operations master plan. They've been working for a long time on an operations master plan. They're going to present that on November 29th at the Pavilion. I forget the time it starts, maybe 6. I'm not sure. But I think that'll be a real helpful presentation. For anyone that's interested, and current council members and council members elect and mayor-elect may be interested, on November 30th, Commerce Lexington will host a 9-county regional meeting where they will present their proposed regional economic development plan. Y'all have heard us talk about it. Scott County and Georgetown are preparing their own that will dovetail with this regional plan, but that regional plan will be presented for the first time. And it'd be probably it's a day-long meeting that if you've got the time, it'd be a good investment, I think.
Do you know where that is, Mayor? I'm sorry.
Do you know what?
Shoot an email?
We'll send it out in an email again to you.
Okay.
We'll have another meeting before then, but a reminder that the Toyota Chamber annual function is on December the 2nd. I think Arlene's already heard from some of you, but if anyone would like to attend, the city is happy to pay for you to do that. All of the newly elected officials will very soon receive invitations at your home, probably, from the Kentucky League of Cities to attend a couple of training events. There'll be a COO, a city official orientation, that you'll be invited to that will be in December. It's an evening thing that gives an overview of city government. Very handy. On these 4-year cycles, when mayors are elected, and typically in Kentucky about a third of the mayors turn over each election cycle, so the training needs are constant, and things change so much that the training needs are constant. In January, Kentucky League of Cities will host the City Official Academy. That's a 2-day event. They'll hold them regionally, but there'll be one in Lexington. And the city will be glad to enroll you for those if you can afford to go. Really beneficial. You meet people from other cities. You learn the folks you call when you're in a bind, and
It's very well worth important that they go for those sessions.
Yeah, yeah. So, but everyone will receive that information at their home, I think is the way that works, but we're happy to handle the registration for any of you. Also wanted to point out our West Main Street project gets closer and closer to completion. It's going to turn out as beautiful as we thought it would. Greg and I both sighed a sigh of relief when we saw the metal barrier go across to make the stone a little higher. We all felt a little more comfortable when we saw that. But it's just going to be stunningly beautiful. What we will get done in the next little bit, before cold weather settles in completely, we want to fill in and do a better job where those utility cuts have settled. They're paved, but they just settle after a while. We want those a little more comfortable. Then, in the springtime, the state will come back in, mill that, and reapply a nice fresh coat of blacktop. We promised that there'd be a nice fresh coat of blacktop after that project was done. It'll take till springtime, but we are going to get there. But we'll get it a little better looking at this time. We will schedule some sort of ribbon cutting event for a public project of that magnitude. I mean, it only took us 6 years to get it funded and complete, so we'd probably like to go ahead and finish that up as well. And then finally, under Mayor's comments, under the printed parts of Mayor's comments, is the proclamation for Small Business Saturday that I'll ask Tracy to read.
Proclamation to celebrate and support Small Business Saturday, November 26, 2022. Whereas the governor of Georgetown, Kentucky celebrates our local small businesses and their contributions they make to our local economy and community, and whereas according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 32.5 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses are 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62% of net new jobs created since 1995. And small businesses employ 46.8% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And where 79% of consumers understand the importance of supporting the small businesses in their community on Small Business Saturday, 70% report the day makes them want to encourage others to shop small. Independently owned retailers and 66% report that the day makes them want to shop small all year long. And whereas 58% of shoppers reported they shopped online with a small business, and 54% reported they dined out or takeout from a small restaurant, bar, or cafe on Small Business Saturday in 2021. And whereas Georgetown, Kentucky supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our community. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore, I, Tom Fraker, Mayor of Georgetown, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim November 26, 2022 as Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion, for sure.
Thank you. And second?
Oh.
Second, Greg, thank you. If there are no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. It gives me an opportunity to circle back to something I meant to mention when Lori was at the podium. Hopefully council will recall going forward that we have this incredible relationship between the city of Georgetown and the Tourism Commission to promote downtown Georgetown. We developed that relationship back 8 years ago when I first came into office, and we had real difficulties with the Main Street program. And in fact, our Main Street program completely failed twice. We took a move that was a bit controversial at the time, but gave those responsibilities to tourism with a financial allocation to get it done. Since that time, it's amazing, almost every community around us has ended up taking this same move. Remarkably, this year, Even the city of Danville, which was the state's first Main Street program, took the same move that we took 8 years ago. So I just want to remind you, you've got a financial relationship that's really good for our downtown merchants. So, all right. Item 7 on our agenda under Chief Administrative Officer. Item A is a resolution in support of the Bluegrass Regional Land Use Resolution. This is a very non-binding, gentle statement of support. It doesn't adopt. It simply says we generally support. And these are all, if you read through them, pretty vague, pretty general growth-related topics. Activity primarily sponsored by Bluegrass Tomorrow, which is a regional planning organization. They've asked local governments throughout their service area to consider adopting, or we're not going that far, but adopting these statements and eventually work toward these goals in terms of regional cooperation, so we don't make mistakes next door to each other. So far in Scott County, Georgetown Scott County Planning Commission, City of Sadieville. Anybody else in Scott County yet, Andrew?
And several, Lexington, and Midway, several surrounding communities.
Be glad to, that's probably about the extent of my understanding. Very soft, very non-binding. But would accept a motion for approval if anyone would like to offer a motion. Thank you. Second one, thank you. Any questions? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you. Item B is a resolution approving a hazard mitigation plan, measures and goals and objectives. Long time coming, really important plan done with our engagement through the Bluegrass Area Development District, who produces a plan for each of the 17 counties in the Bluegrass Area Development District.
I meant to let you
Oh.
know, Mayor, that we've got a little card here from the Bluegrass ad, if anybody has any questions.
Well, please come to the podium. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Please explain this better than I did.
Yeah, so I'll give you all a little bit of a background on the plan. Every 5 years, communities are required to update their hazard mitigation plan. This is done in order to qualify for disaster mitigation funds. So not funds that would cover disasters that would, like say, a community gets hit by a tornado or a flood. Not those funds, just mitigation funds. So we have worked with your EM director and his staff to coordinate 3 meetings where we gathered information on the different types of hazards that affect Scott County and Georgetown. We worked with them to identify critical facilities and infrastructure in the community and to come up with some proposed projects to address some of those hazards. We completed a draft plan, and then we had to submit it to the state for their review. They had to review it, make some inputs, and a couple weeks ago they sent over their approved document, which is now ready for your all's review. One thing I will add too is that even though you all will be adopting a resolution to adopt the plan today, this plan is designed to be modified anytime within the next 5 years if you need to. So if you identify a project that you know you may pursue in a year or two later, you can always call us and we can add it to your plan. It's no problem.
Good. Any questions? Is there a motion for approval? Thank you, Mark.
Second,
Thank you, ma'am. And if there are no questions, other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you for joining us tonight. And item C on our agenda is the municipal order approving surplus items, mainly computers and things of that nature.
Motion for approval, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second, Mayor.
Second, thank you. If there are any questions about that, we'd be glad to go through the list with you, but if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you. Item 8 on our agenda under city engineer is a municipal order approving some change orders 4 through 7 for our TAP grant project for Bluegrass Contracting. Drainage, some found conditions,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
mopping up the project.
Yeah, I'll just run through them real quick.
Please.
These are all change orders that we've already just discussed with the transportation cabinet. Most of them we've gotten a verbal okay on, but we haven't received anything in writing formally. And so these change orders are pending a formal approval with KYTC, so you get your grant match. The city gets the grant match. The first one is we had some storm drain issues where we ran into some utility conflicts with other utilities that were already in the ground, and we had to relay some pipe and do some modifications there. So that's change order number 4, the first one. The second one is change order number 5. It is to do some improvements, landscaping type improvements and aesthetic improvements around the gabion baskets, which sit behind the wall up on the Royal Springs side, on the north side of the bridge, and we want to raise that up a little higher where it's more visible, and we have some various places do some stone work to match the rest of the stone that's been laid, and these were not included in the original scope of work, so we're asking to include those as part of this change order pending approval from the state.
Those are called what kind of baskets?
Gabion baskets, they're the
They're the kind of ugly
yeah,
stone, wire mesh, stone-filled, earth retaining things.
they're usually to erosion control around steep banks.
They're very
on-
effective,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
not very attractive.
No.
So part of this we've got a lot of that you can see around this project, and
Yeah.
this will minimize some of that.
We're guessing they had some slippage at some point in the past, and they probably put those in there at that time to shore that up.
When the city didn't have any money to do anything about that,
Yeah.
probably.
Howard Gray was a fan of Gabion baskets.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you need a motion for approval?
He's got a couple more.
Yeah, real quick, I just got 2 more to real quickly go through. The next one is some asphalt work that was not included in the original bid, and that's to shore up the road, mainly on the road cuts that you see that are rutting right now that need to be fixed before we go back and mill and pave, as the mayor mentioned earlier, in the springtime. So this will get us through the winter and make it nice and smooth and safe over the winter months. And the last one, which is change order 7, is at the water treatment plant. There is the wall, as you notice, goes right up to the building. Well, there's a gap in there, and we didn't include a gate, so we want to put in a gate and also some hand railing on the steps, and that's what change order 7 is requesting.
If anybody had driven by, we're on the side that says Georgetown, where it curves so close to the water company's existing building that they wanted that little bit of fencing in there.
Yeah, for safety and security.
We just didn't anticipate that
Yeah.
until we saw it.
Keep it locked and gated off, so. So those are the change orders. ins and
David?
outs.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Willow. And if there are no questions for Eddie, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you, Eddie. And then I think you've got a couple of very routine street dedications.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So there's 2 street dedications. One's at White Oak, a small section of White Oak that was recently punched out and completed. Planning and zoning takes the lead on these projects, and they make the recommendations to the city, for approval to take into our inventory the stormwater and streets and roads and all the infrastructure. So that's the first one on White Oak.
Motion made.
Thank you. And second, thank you, Todd. All in favor say aye. Are there any opposed?
The next one is Thoroughbred Acres. Another small section of that development was recently completed, and Planning and Zoning has recommended those to bring into our street inventory.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Thank you, Karen.
Second made.
And second from Connie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Eddie. Anything else for us?
No, sir. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yes, sir. Item 9, it's early in the financial year, but it is the end of a quarter, and Stacy's ready to give us a quarterly financial update.
Good evening. Again, this is our July through September quarterly financial report. As always, you have your detailed line item budget and expense report that you can look over. But I will just touch on our top 5 revenue accounts. So starting with payroll tax collections, as you can see, for the first quarter of the year, we have collected $4.499 million, which is approximately 31% of our budget. So a little bit ahead of the game there, and approximately almost $1.8 million ahead of where we were this time last year. So you can see that. And then on the second page with net profits, I'll always have a caveat here to remind you of, but as you can see, 1.9 million, but again, we keep carrying forward about a $1.3 million credit. So fiscal year 2022, at the end of the year, the Revenue Commission just went through their audit. That credit that is outstanding is still about $1.372 million. I think it went up $2,000 since last year, so we're still carrying over that same amount. We hope a time will come when we can recognize that revenue, but until then, we just kind of keep showing it. So if you take that out, we're really about $600,000 of actual cash collected. It's just we kind of keep moving that to the next fiscal year until we get to the point that we can recognize the revenue. So $600,000 out of a $2.2 million budget. I mean, we're about a fourth of the way there. So it's really right where we should be. And of course, April is obviously the big month for net profits. So those will come later in the year. And again, about $265,000 ahead of where we were at this time last year. Insurance premium tax collections for the first quarter, we're at about $1,340,000, which is about 23% of our budgeted $5.9 million. It is about $235,000 less than last year, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to try to see if perhaps last year maybe there were some returns that came in late. You know, if some of the companies got in the habit of filing late or because of the pandemic. So I'm going to try to see, and I'll report back to you if that was more of a last year's quarter was inflated, or see if there's just some lagging returns that haven't been mailed in yet. They were due October 31st, so it's always possible that a couple are filing a little bit late. But I'll report back to you once I've had a chance to research that a little bit further.
And council will recall that insurance premium tax is an important revenue source for us. But we get it from the Department of Insurance without any real documentation. If it's slightly down, we can't explain why.
I'm hoping, thinking it's just due to timing of returns. Either last year was up, or there's a
we're
couple
so
late
robust
returns.
in the insurance market, and the
Yeah.
council made those changes, so the revenue should be pretty stout there.
Yeah.
You know, and with just newness, new things coming on, I mean, it's, you'd think that it would have to go up, you know, with
Yeah.
new construction, new projects, new development, with inflation, quite honestly.
Right.
Yes.
New assessments of property constantly taking place.
And I did this report today, so I didn't have time to do a deep dive into the why.
Yeah.
But before I come back for my next quarterly report, once I see how that quarter does, I'll do a deeper dive and make sure I can report back to you on if last year had some late returns from the previous year in that quarter, or maybe we've had a couple that are just filing late, and we'll catch back up here in a week or two.
Just an odd tax category, because we don't,
Yeah.
you set the rate,
Take it as it
but you don't
comes, yeah.
control it
Right.
beyond that.
So I'll report back on that. Property tax collections, obviously not much to report yet this time of year. Everybody will start paying, really November, December is when those come in. So $5,890 so far this year. That will be, next quarter we'll have more on that. And another one that's a little bit odd, again, I'm hoping this is just a matter of returns being filed late. Alcoholic beverage regulatory fees are $309,788, which is about 21% of what we budgeted, but it's about $47,000 less than this quarter last year. So another one that I want to do a little deeper dive into, and I can email out that response. Yeah, I don't have to make you wait till the next quarter's report. I'll try to research that and see if I can find a reason as to exactly why that was a little bit less as well. So, because I don't think we've lost any establishments that I'm aware of, so it's a little odd that it would be down. I'm hoping it's just late filers. So, any questions?
Stacy, real quick, I mean,
Yes.
if you were to anticipate payroll tax, I mean, that's what kind of carries the day anyway. I mean, that one's looking pretty favorable.
It is, and I'll need to look and see if any of those were 3 payroll months. There's always 2-3 payroll months during the year, so I believe the month of September was a 3 pay period month. So compared to last year, it looks like maybe October was the 3 pay period month. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at that. That always shifts a little bit as each year it shifts a month, which one's 3 pay period month. So, because it looks like October was pretty high last year. So we'll see. We'll get one more month in and see how that compares.
It's actually comforting to be able to explain the anomalies,
Yes.
to understand them.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mark. Please.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
Mr. Leslie's question. At this point in time, through one quarter, are we either hearing information or receiving any information from the business community here in Georgetown that would make us take a step back?
No.
With the payroll tax?
No. Things are robust. Things are quite robust. Any other questions for Stacy?
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.
Okay, under Human Resources, item A, second reading of an amendment to the personnel ordinance concerning police. Sponsors Mr. Stone and Mr. Leslie. This is, go ahead. I'll let you read it and then I don't have to explain it.
An ordinance amending section 2-101 of the code of ordinances to reduce the number of police officers by 1, increase the number of lieutenants by 1, and increase the number of police officers by 2. Summary 1, amend section 2-101 subsection C of the code of ordinances to reduce the number of police officers by 1, increase the number of lieutenants by 1, and increase the number of police officers by 2. 2, provides for repeal of existing ordinances, severability of provisions, and effective date upon passage of application. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the city clerk's office, 100 North Court Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Introduced and publicly read the first time, October 24th, 2022. Publicly read the second time, November 14th, 2022.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Thank you, Todd.
Second.
Thank you, Karen. And everybody recalls we're transferring a police officer to a supervisory lieutenant position. And then we're adding 2 police officers for our special program.
It looks contradictory.
It looks contradictory, but it's very positive for the police department. Okay. If we could call the roll, please.
Mrs. Tackett?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Showalter?
Yes.
Mrs. Tingley?
Yes.
Mrs. Leslie Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Leslie?
Yes.
Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hambrick?
Yes.
Thank you. That carries. Next, we have first reading of another amendment to the personnel ordinance. This one concerns the city clerk. Sponsors are Ms. Tackett and Mr. Showalter.
An ordinance amending section 2-111 of the Code of Ordinances to reflect the city clerk as full-time position at pay scale grade 10. Summary 1, commence section 2-111, subsection C. The Code of Ordinances to reflect the city clerk as an appointed position at pay grade 10. 2, provides for repeal of inconsistent ordinances, severability of provisions, and an effective date of January 1, 2023, and upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the city clerk's office, 100 North Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40224, or at www.georgetownpayroll.gov. Introduced and publicly read the first time, November 14, 2022.
Thank you. That will be first reading, so we would anticipate second reading and roll call vote then at our second meeting in November. Item 11 on our agenda, this one's kind of fun. A municipal order approving the purchase and lease of vehicles from Bachman Automotive. We have been so desperate for new police vehicles that
So the
Go
first thing
ahead,
I want to
Stacy.
say is, I know this looks like a lot of vehicles. However, these 21 vehicles are all vehicles that council has already budgeted or approved to purchase through our enterprise lease program. However, Captain Nash and I have talked to Enterprise extensively. They came and had a meeting that Chief Bossy and Andrew sat in on, and Enterprise is just flat out having trouble getting vehicles. They can't promise us any police vehicles until October 2024. So, almost 2 years out.
just not acceptable.
So, Captain Nash has been researching how else can we get vehicles. Enterprise offered a solution or two that we were not fond of, and so what we have done is Bachman Auto Group in Louisville, they hold the state contract for police vehicles, and although we're not going this route with them, they're trying to get into the fleet management business themselves. So in other words, they won't sell their vehicles to Enterprise to buy for us. So we have gone straight to Bachman and utilizing the state contract. They have 3 vehicles available immediately. We'll have to send them to L&W to get all the upfit and equipment on them, but as soon as that's done, they'll be available for our police department. With the other 15 expected to come around May, but they will hold them for delivery. Well, they will hold part of them for delivery until July, until the new year. So that's why you'll see on the breakdown of what we're doing, we want to purchase 6 with cash this fiscal year. And what I did, I went back to fiscal year 2018, which is the first year we began the lease program with Enterprise, and I looked at what we had budgeted for police vehicles each year compared to what we had actually spent. Because sometimes due to the timing of when vehicles are delivered, we would budget more than what we actually spent that year. Over the course of those 5 years, plus the amount we had budgeted for new police leases this year, we were over $400,000 that we've not spent over the past 5 years. So we felt comfortable asking to use some of our reserve money to purchase the first 6 vehicles outright with cash during this fiscal year. And then the remaining 15, they would hold for us until July, not deliver them till after July. And Bachman has a lease program that we can use to lease the same as we would for Enterprise. The only difference is we're not going to use Bachman's fleet manager program. These will come under our Enterprise fleet management program as city-owned vehicles. So that's where we're at with this. And then this is a short term. take care of the police department because we're struggling with getting vehicles. And then we're gonna sit down and have conversations about where this goes in the future as far as making sure that the enterprise program can hopefully work for us in the future like it intended to. But with the state of the industry, they're having a bit of a hiccup right now.
These will be bought outright.
Huh?
They'll be bought outright.
Yeah, so the first 6 will be bought outright with cash, we'll own them immediately. The last 15 will be leased through Bachman, but it's a, one, I believe ownership transfers at the end, so, and those are leases that we would try to pay down as quickly as we can if we have the availability in our budget, so that we don't.
And if those are gonna be actually done in the next fiscal year,
Yes.
then the next council and administration could have a say-so in how they did those purchases.
Yeah, that budget will be, obviously they'll put into the fiscal year 24 budget.
So we're gonna vote tonight for the 6.
We're kind of voting to go ahead and like I said, you have already approved 21 vehicles. We had approved 9 that were actually supposed to be from fiscal year 21 or 22, got canceled, got reordered. So there were those 9. Back at the end of September, you approved for the police to order 10 more vehicles through Enterprise to be delivered in fiscal year 24. So that was a total of 19 that we were going to be ordering. And then recently, with the JAG program and the budget amendment that we just finished, you all approved funding for 2 additional vehicles for the JAG program for those officers that we're at. So it came to a total of 21 that you all had either approved, get in this year budget, or you'd gone ahead and given a approval to order for next year's budget. So these are the same 21 vehicles that council's already taken action on, just with a different vendor.
Yeah, we think this is a real breakthrough.
Just
We're
This-
struggling for
helps them not have to wait 2
prisoners.
years. By July, we could have 21, and then, of course, Captain Nash has highlighted all of the vehicles that we'll be selling and replacing. And a few of those are even the enterprise leased vehicles that we'll be going ahead and turning over some of those that were leased, so,
So Stacy, you're making a commitment for all the vehicles now,
yes.
but the decision on funding of the majority of those can be
Yes.
made by the next.
We're making a
council.
commitment so that Bachman holds them for us when they come in May. Of course, we'll be approving, we'll be presenting our budget in May, so if anything changes between now and May, we'll have the opportunity to say to Bachman,
Yes.
sorry, we can't take those, additional ones, but.
Sam, did you
So
have a
it's not
question?
really, we're holding them to the 6, and this council's holding them to the 6, but then the future rest will be new
Yeah.
mayor, new council to make.
Basically, what we are doing tonight, we'll have Bachman kind of have them on reserve for us until May, but if they come in May and the council didn't approve them in the budget, then we would say, go sell them to somebody else, and Bachman's okay with that.
Okay.
I mean, they've said, you know, if you
They're
don't
not
buy
gonna
them,
have a problem doing
we're
it.
gonna turn around and sell it to somebody else, but Captain Nash really wants Bachman to kind of hold on to them and not sell them to somebody else.
So you're obligating tonight the
6 in this budget.
the 360,000?
Yes.
The number?
Yes, the total 2023 budget, 360,659.
And then 2024 budget, it's 9.
That would be if we were paying cash, but we're planning on leasing. So that's one thing we don't have yet, is what the lease schedule
Okay,
would be. We'll get that closer to when they would be delivered.
okay, gotcha. All right.
And Stacy, I commend you on figuring out a way to get this done.
Well, I gotta give all the credit to Captain Nash. He and Chief Bossy came to me with the concern, but Captain Nash did a lot of the talking with his other police departments and finding this, and then we just helped him figure out the logistics, but I'll give credit to him for coming up with the idea.
If you need a motion, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
And second. Any further questions for Stacy?
Stacy, quick question, and
Yes.
it has to do with our reserves. I noticed on here it's showing like 17.5, but is it closer to 21 million?
Yes,
actual
I
reserve?
laid that paper over there. I don't have it with me.
That's all right, but
Yes.
that is correct though, right?
Yes.
21 million roughly in reserves?
Yes.
Good. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Thank you.
Well done, Stacy, thank you. Before we get to council comments, there was one part of mayor comments that was very important, and I skipped right over it. So with your permission, I need to move back to one item that I failed to mention in mayor comments, and that is I had talked with you previously about the rate study that Georgetown Municipal Water and Sewer Service has been working on. And that rate study, will include the improvements that we've had to make to wastewater plant 1 that the council has approved during the year. The rate study will go before the GMWSS Board of Commissioners tomorrow at noon. So it couldn't come to you all with a water board recommendation if it hadn't been before their board yet. So timing wise, the water board will hear this rate recommendation tomorrow, and then their recommendation will be brought to the council at our next meeting in November. Timing wise, just what my expectation is that what we'll be bringing you is a recommendation from Georgetown Municipal Water and Sewer Service on our second meeting in November, and then we will look at and first reading of a rate ordinance with the second reading of that rate ordinance and roll call vote to come at our first meeting in December. So that was an important update that I wanted to make sure the council had on timing. Knew that this was coming, but given the timing of the water board, that's the timing that it will now come to you all. And yes, ma'am.
Do you think it would be helpful to have some of the members of the water board come to be able to answer some questions? I mean, this is anticipating a rather significant rate increase, or?
I think they'd be more than willing to do that, Willow.
Okay, I think that might be helpful.
I will attend their board meeting tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think that's my obligation to that board. And then we'll have, Chase has been very thorough and very open with us about discussing these processes all through the year. And we knew as we approved the change orders that were brought to us through the year that there would have to be a rate change to accommodate those. And the water board now has that data, that information that they can share among themselves, make some decisions, and then be in a position to make a recommendation to you all. Any questions about that, Tammy? Good. I really need to circle back. Chase, sorry about leaving that. I didn't want to give you a heart attack sitting over there. But that will move forward tomorrow with GMWSS at first. And with that said, Willow, may we start with you in council comments?
Sure. Thank you to Eddie, I think he's still around the corner there, for troubleshooting the intersection by the hospital that we mentioned at the last meeting. And Eddie, if you could kind of give a update about what you've heard.
Sure. So after the last meeting when you had brought this up, the 2 fatal accidents that were at 460 and 25 recently, I reached out to KYTC and said, could you all take a look at this intersection? And they're in the process of doing that. They did a real quick 30,000-foot look at kind of some immediate things that jumped out. That was what was in that email where they talked about the turning movements and and that kind of thing. So they're gonna continue to they're gonna reach out to some of their consultants who do traffic analysis for a living and see what needs to be done to improve the timing
of the signals out there to see if they can realize some safety improvements to that intersection. So,
And Todd, you sent us a recommendation that you thought might be helpful.
You know, and whether or not that is one of the only intersections that has a flashing yellow light on the bypass. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
You know, but when you're on the bypass, you don't have the flashing yellow light.
Mhm.
But on 25 sides, I don't know if that's something that they could look at.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pass that on
I mean,
to them.
I think that's a good idea.
All it'll do is just back traffic up in the turn lanes more, but, you know, I don't know.
They're definitely gonna study it, especially with the fatalities out there, and see what improvements need to be made to make it safer.
So do you think they'll kind of land, well, this is just driver error, and, you know, you all go with it? Or do you think there's a chance that they actually might do something?
Yeah, your guess would be as good as mine. You just don't know until they get with
To
the
us.
people. And,
Yeah.
I'd be afraid to even try to guess that.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, thank you.
You're welcome.
We did, Willow, emphasize that this intersection was a growing concern to members of the community. It wasn't just due to the recent fatalities, but that we had expressions of concern
Yep.
from the general community about just their own safety.
Yep. While you're up here, one more question. So all the dredging of the Royal Spring is completed?
Yes, yes. We partnered with GMWSS on that. We were planning on doing this for a while, and y'all had actually approved an engineering analysis to determine how much material and put together. And then the spring dried up, so there was very little flow in the stream, or in the spring, and that provided a perfect opportunity because it was dry to get in there and get it cleaned out, and that was why we moved forward as quickly as we did. So yes, we're done.
Yeah, and have we been able to do any kind of patching of the wall, or is that a future?
We cleaned the wall, we scrubbed it down, we pressure washed it,
Uh-huh.
and we did an inspection and really didn't find a whole lot of areas of concern. We pulled all the vegetation out, cut it all out.
Okay, good.
So I want to thank Chase for
Yeah.
helping us. You know, we wouldn't have known that the spring was in that kind of a condition if he hadn't alerted us to it.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Also, I'm really thrilled about the Ed Davis announcement. So that's fantastic. You said $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
So wonderful. Thank you. Anytime I've ever called Eddie about anything, I mean, it is like followed up.
He's right on it.
He is right on it, so I appreciate you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Anything else, Willow?
that's it.
Thank you. Greg?
Just the West Main project is really beautiful. It's something that for all of us to be proud of, and welcomes people into the city. So beyond that, next week is Thanksgiving, so I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and I know we all have a lot to be thankful for. So
Yes, we do. Thank you, Greg.
that's it.
Karen?
Only thing I have tonight, and the text that I had sent you and Andrew about the car sitting on, or the truck sitting on the side of the street that's been there for 2 years. with
For
flat
2
tires.
years?
They did go out and mark it, but they hadn't towed it away, but I did pass it on to Chief Fossey tonight, so I told the residents I'd bring it up at council and that Chief Fossey was on it.
You said it had been tagged?
It had been tagged, they told me it had been tagged, but it hadn't been moved yet, so
First step in getting it tagged.
Yeah.
Get it tagged.
we're ready for it to get moved now.
Okay.
So that's it.
All right, thank you. David?
Mayor, I'll mention, to tag along on Willow's comment, I was in a meeting with Stephen Sewell at Palmer Engineering, and when we were doing the meeting, I asked about potential grants, and he mentioned that there is a grant for public safety that relates to intersections, and that you need to partner with the county in order for the best chance of success. But we talked about that intersection specifically, so that's good. I didn't realize that there was study being done. But if we have any desire for any other intersections, they would be glad to facilitate that. I know Eddie's got a direct connection with Stephen Sewell at Palmer, so going forward, that might be something to look at as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Mary,
Thank
that's
you.
it.
All right. Hi.
Well, I would like to bring up Good Old Republic
All right.
and just ask, I know that, I've had some people call and say when they call there, they get put on hold for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And they go to a different call center, and I've told them, I understand that you might get Las Vegas, you might get somewhere. But is there any way that some of that time can be like brought down from waiting when they're calling about stuff? Hard to say.
We can absolutely contact our rep and let them know that there's been some negative experiences with customer service and go that direction. I mean, I think when we all call these large corporations, we get those kinds of experiences, but we can absolutely voice that concern.
Yeah, and Connie, when we've kind of pounded on them before,
Yeah.
we've asked for data about. They don't have data specific to Georgetown and Scott County. They can't refine it down that far. But we've asked about experiences over a broader customer base, and what kind of percentage of people have trouble. We just want to quantify things to see if it's reasonable what we're expecting. And typically, all those numbers have been coming down in the right direction. And given some of their responses, I wouldn't be surprised if they can't tell us average hold time. I know sometimes when I'm on hold, it feels like 30, it may be not, or it could be 30, but I bet they can even tell us, be accountable to the council on hold times.
Yeah.
And I would put it on a list of things for them to answer.
Yeah,
I know when I
they've
call-
got the software that they probably can pull based on number that dialed in. If you don't mind me asking, like, how many people have raised this
I've
concern?
only had like 3.
Okay, but it's multiple people
Yes.
recently.
And the thing is when I call and put on hold on my cell phone, I can look and see how long I've been on
Right.
hold.
Right.
So, and the majority of people are calling from their cell phones, so they're gonna know that. But I explained that, we're only like, 7 or 8 months in, 6 months.
You shouldn't have to wait on hold that long.
No,
That's
you
irritating.
should not.
That's irritating.
And I said I would bring it up.
That's still not the level of service we expect. And I think we should say so.
Right. And there's another issue that was brought to my attention about, when, you can get the 4 vouchers, online
Mhm.
for, taking things to the Rumpke. Well, when you run into people who don't have internet, what would be the safest or the best route that we could help them? Now, my first suggestion would be, well, surely you have children, grandchildren, that could help do that, but if they don't have internet in their home, they can't. So I was only thinking of maybe,
County runs a program, they'd be
Yeah.
glad to send them the vouchers.
well, that's what
I mean, it doesn't have to be hard for them.
The county says to come to the courthouse and they'll manually sign them up there. If they can't get it through the internet or call, or maybe they can do it they can do it for them.
okay.
They manage
I
it.
mentioned that, so
But the
they manage it.
vouchers, they can get them at the courthouse.
That's great. Thank you, Mayor.
Or so many folks don't realize the services our library can help people with
I'll
for
mention that as well.
internet access and printing things. But they can go right in the courthouse and get their own little handful of vouchers.
Okay. And then my next thing, which I'm not sure that we can do anything about that, but a lot of people don't have trucks or trailers to take their stuff. So I don't know if we could put our head together to come up with something like that, but I don't think our own public works are in a position that they could do that, right?
No, ma'am.
I didn't think so. That's what I said, because we've sold all of our trucks, right?
Yeah, I don't think, I can't help them if they,
That's what I thought.
I'm happy to give them a place to go take it free, but I can't get it there for them.
I know. And that's what I pretty much said too. But thank you very much. That's all I have.
The voucher,
Oh, and happy Thanksgiving.
the voucher program is just, the county and the council ought to really be proud of that voucher program. It is so easy to use. You're always on pavement. It's so civilized and easy to use as opposed to going to the dump. And you can do it 4 times a year.
I think that might be an opportunity for a little entrepreneur that might be doing stuff that has a truck and a trailer and advertise it on Facebook or in the mail and say, I'll do it for X amount of dollars.
There you go.
You know, but it would be a thought, you know.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Todd?
Thank you, sir. Want to let everybody know happy Thanksgiving. Kim Rice with Parks sent me a long list of things. One of the things is that the master plan presentation is at 6 p.m. on the 29th. I do have that written down here. A couple weeks ago, Katie Posey and Cortland Ledesma attended a conference in Corbin, and they were awarded an outstanding program, Class 3, for Parks and Rec school kickoff movies and the park event. So they wanted to congratulate them on that. Something that a lot of people will be happy, city and county employees. The Parks Board passed a special individual membership rate for city, county, interlocal employees for $10 a month. Special pricing for their families. And then December 3rd is Brunch with the Grinch. December 20th is Baking with Mrs. Claus. Both of those are at the Ed Davis Learning Center. They're accepting Lego donations at the Ed Davis Learning Center and the Pavilion for a mobile recreation program they've got going. Friends of the Park is currently accepting board member applications, and then they are having, Friends of the Park's also doing a Good Giving Challenge. I believe that's a food drive.
No, it's around Thanksgiving. It'll be advertised, and it's a day when everybody donates money, sort of like a Christmas present, and to their favorite charity. And they work with the radio stations and TV stations in Lexington, and all the nonprofits get on board, and some of the money's split up. But it's a day that gets advertised real big. Today's Good Giving Day. You know, take your Christmas money, give to a nonprofit, and it's divided up, and we're part of that. So.
Other than that, I'm done.
That's a bunch, thank you. Tammy?
All good.
Okay. Mark? Okay. If there's nothing else to come before the council,